Hey guys, welcome to Creative Piano Academy with me, Joseph Sakura, and today I have a really nice, simple technique for you so that you can write chord progressions like Coldplay, if that's your thing, of course. So let's break down a few Coldplay songs, build them back up using this technique. So we'll start off with Sky Full of Stars. Let me just grab my notes up. So we start off like this. It basically sounds like this. So the first thing we need to do is strip away all the fluff from those chords, work out what those chords are, what the core chords are, and what that progression is, so we can use this technique I'm going to show you to build it back up. So essentially, we're in the key of G flat, okay? And the chords start on E flat, so we've got a chord 6, which is essentially an E flat minor chord. Then we move to a B flat major chord. And then we move to which is chord 4, and then we move to G flat, which is chord 1, and then B flat minor, which is chord 3, okay? So we end up with a 6, 4, 1, 3 sequence. So that sounds like this, without any of that fluff, just those raw chords, it sounds like this. So it's got that kind of Sky Full of Stars essence about it, but it's missing all the magic, which actually makes it sound a little bit out of the ordinary, a little bit different from just an ordinary chord progression. So this technique I'm going to show you is, it's not going to show you how to take a Coldplay song and just basically turn a raw chord progression into exactly how Chris Martin plays it and Chris Martin sounds. But what it is a really nice, simple technique to get your chord progressions sounding more interesting, okay? We are going to use, in my opinion, the single most important chord you can learn as a creative musician, and that is, of course, the power chord. It is such a useful little chord to know, and it's so simple to learn. So first of all, what is a power chord? Quite simply, all a power chord is the root note, okay? So we'll take any note we want, and we'll call it the root, and we play the 5th note above it, okay? And that's it, that's a power chord. We miss that 3rd note of a chord. So if you imagine a normal root position triad, we'd have, let's say, a C major chord. We've got C, E, G, which is the root, the 3rd, and the 5th. We just strip away that 3rd note. It's got no major or minor tonality, and we just have the root and the 5th played together. We can play that anywhere on the board. So C would be C and G, A would be A and E. You know, in the key that we're in for the Sky Full of Stars song, it would be G flat. So we'd play a G flat and a D flat like this, root and the 5th, okay? Now, this technique, we're going to take the left-hand chords, and we're going to take the right hand and we're going to strip everything down to just power chords. But the trick is, the left hand is going to move around different chords, different power chords. The right hand is going to play the same power chord over every single chord in the left. And that same power chord in the right is just going to be the root position of the key we're in, okay? So if we're in the key of C, that would just be C and G. And we play a C and a G in the right hand over every single power chord position in the left in C. So for instance, you could hear that by just moving up simply the left-hand chord. So we start off with C, and then we could play D, E, F, and you can hear how that interplay between the two power chord positions immediately adds a bit of interest, a bit of sparkle to those chords. Okay, so if that sounds a little bit confusing for you, don't worry. Let's break that down and build it back up using Sky Full of Stars as an example. So we're in the key of G flat, okay, we're in the key of G flat. So in the right hand, I want to find my G flat power chord, which is a G flat, and then the 5th above it, which is a D flat, okay? So I'll play those 2 notes together. Now, for the sake of this particular example, I'm going to take that regular power chord position, just play the same notes, and move it down to the D flat and the F, the D flat and the G flat here. Okay, I just think it sounds nicer for this specific example. In the left hand, we're going to take the chord progression that we've just worked out, and we're going to apply the power chords to that specific chord progression. So if you remember, we had chord 6 to start with, which is an E flat. And then we move to chord 4, which is B. So we've got our B power chord. Then we move to chord 1, and then we move to chord 3. Okay? So, oh, and also, almost forgot, we've got this passing chord here. So in the actual song, it went. You see, we've got a little passing chord between this one and this one. All that is a D flat here. So we're just going to move between the E flat, D flat, and then B, okay? But the point here is I want you to hear how just adding this root position power chord over the top of those chords results in some really nice, pleasing sounds. So if I play the actual chord progression now in the style of Sky Full of Stars using this technique, sounds like this. Stone along the way, yeah? But it's a way for you to take your ordinary chord progressions, apply this technique and start having a bit of fun with them. Let's take another song. Let's take Viva La Vida. It sounds like this. So we're in the key of A flat here, and if we strip away all that fluff, we end up with, quite simply, chord 4. Okay, so it starts off with a D flat major, which is chord 4, and then we end up with, and then we move to E flat, which is chord 5, and then A flat, chord 1, and then F minor, which is chord 6. So it's simply a 4, 5, 1, 6 sequence. Okay, now what do you notice here with Coldplay songs in general? It's really interesting because they're not complicated chords. They really aren't. They're just ordinary, bog standard chords that you and I know and love, and we hear them all the time. They're all in a major key, and what Chris Martin's a master at is taking those ordinary chord progressions and making them sound melodic and making them sound really nice. So let's take the core chord progression from Viva La Vida, add this technique in, and see what it sounds like. So we start off with our chord 4. We're in the key of A flat, so our two notes that we need in the right hand is the A flat power chord, so that's an A flat and an E flat, okay? And again, I'll play it down here. And we end up with this, look. So it's chord 4, just playing power chords in the left, chord 5, and immediately we've got that suspense there, haven't we? From here, we know we want to resolve, as a listener, we want to hear that resolve. Bang, down to chord 1, and then chord 6. Okay? So. Immediately it sounds good. Now, it's not exactly Viva La Vida, just like before, but it sounds a bit Coldplay-like, and it definitely has that more Viva La Vida sound to it. We could get a bit more adventurous with these power chords and spread those hands out, spread those chords out a bit. Just by starting playing around with this concept, you can hear really nice, subtle melodies start poking through. Maybe you can add this note in, maybe you can go from here to here, and you can start developing that into a really nice, full-blown piece of music. But this technique is a nice little way to unlock that for you. So the more you practice this, the more you get used to the technique, hopefully those melodies will start poking out for you as well. Okay, Fix You, our last Coldplay song, Fix You. So, sounds like this. So for this chord progression, we start out with, well, what key are we in? We're in the key of E flat major here. He really likes his flat keys, doesn't he? So we start off with chord 1, and then chord 3, which is G minor, and then chord 6 here, which in this case is a C minor 7, but that were, stripping away that, it would just be a C minor chord. And then B flat major, okay? So we end up with a 1, which is E flat, G minor, chord 3, C minor, chord 6, B flat, chord 5. So 1, 3, 6, 5. 1, 3, 6, 5. So let's switch that over to power chords. We get chord 1, 3, 6, and then 5. So actually, it sounds pretty close. So notice in the left, all I'm doing is I'm just playing power chords. I'm not worrying about any sort of major or minor triads, just power chords. To me, that sounds really nice. I mean, pretty close to Fix You as far as I'm concerned. But we can't forget that beautiful chorus, which goes like this. So nice is that. At the core of it, simply just a 4. And we're in the same key, we're still in E flat. It's just 4, lights, lights, and then E flat chord 1, and then B flat chord 5. That's all it is. So it's just 4, 1, 5. Strip it down to our power chords. Just sounds like this. So it sounds pretty nice. It might need a bit more of a nudge, this one, to make it sound more like, specifically like Coldplay, but remember, that's not the point. The point is to just make our chords more interesting, and that does it. Look, from here, we end up with that nice suspension, resolve, more suspension, bring different right-hand kind of patterns in there, make it more interesting. You know, the original pattern as well. All I'm doing, playing around with power chords, and that could pass as Fix You. Okay, so you get the idea. 3 examples straight from Coldplay of how we can take the raw chord progressions from Chris Martin, break them down and build them back up using this relatively simple technique to make your chords sound a lot more interesting, a lot more inspirational. If that is too much for you right now, then simply play around with this technique in the key of C. And that would be C and a G in the right, and then you can start just playing around with various different chord positions in the left. That's all you need to do, you know, so start off, sounds quite nice, just start moving around those core chords in the key of C. See if you can start creating some nice sounding chord progressions yourself. Okay, before we finish, just a very quick bonus little example for you, which I think is just a perfect example of this technique in action in a massive hit song, and that is the Coldplay and the Chainsmokers song, Something Just Like This. So just check this out. So what's going on here? This is just exactly as it is on the record. It's just the power chord in the right, which is the D and the A, because we're in the key of D here. And it's just the chord 4, 5, and 6, just played in repetition. And that's all it is. That's literally all it is, just this. So, this technique can be extremely effective. It's well worth getting to grips with it and just having fun and playing around, which is basically what my channel is all about. Guys, head to creativepianoacademy.com for my premium video, The Best Adult Piano Practice Plan, which uses my piano practice hit method. It's fantastic. Loads of people have got results out of it, so check that out. You won't regret it. You can now support me on Patreon and get loads of extra goodies over at patreon.com/Creative Piano Academy. Really appreciate it. Let me know in the comments down below if you would like me to put together a proper Coldplay song tutorial and what that song would be. Like this video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel, as well as smashing that notification bell next to it so you know when your next piano fix is available. And I will see you in the next video.